Yo, welcome back to another video. Today we'll be talking about some tips/concepts that top Valorant players literally abuse that you might not be taking full advantage of. In a game like Valorant, every millisecond matters, so understanding how to create advantages or take away your opponent's advantages in any situation is vital. First, let's go over something called angle advantage. Angle advantage is the idea that the player that is physically farther away from an angle has an advantage over a player that is physically closer, because the former will be able to see the latter first and therefore react faster. If you're questioning whether the idea of angle advantage is legit or not, there are multiple videos where other people have tested this concept for its validity, and the results show that it is definitely real. This is something to keep in mind in every position you play or fight that you take. You can see top players abuse this concept by backing up as far as they comfortably can before they peek, or slicing the pie to punish players who play a risky position, such as a one and done corner. If you don't know what slicing the pie is, it's a strategy that players use to isolate and clear angles one by one. Instead of wide swinging into multiple angles, they would instead take their time and clear every off angle one by one until the whole area is clear. In doing so, they are maximizing their chances of winning the gunfight because they A, do not have to worry about a number of different angles and can focus solely on every angle one by one, and B, are able to use or minimize angle advantage when applicable. I see many new players make the mistake of not backing up all the way when they're about to peek an angle. So for example, if you're peeking B main on ascent, a lot of players run up to the archway here and pretty much physically touch it. And they don't realize that they're putting themselves at a disadvantage and that the enemy will be able to see them first before they can even see the enemy. So make sure that when you're about to peek, make sure you back up as far as you comfortably can so that you can either negate your opponent's angle advantage or give yourself the angle advantage. This is key when taking fights and playing positions. Angle advantage is something that you can use to your advantage no matter what situation you are in. Whether you're about to peek an enemy or if you're holding an angle. So understanding this concept is key to winning more gunfights. So the next time you're about to peek someone, think to yourself, does the enemy have the angle advantage? If so, how can I minimize it or use it for myself? Top players have this concept drilled so far in their mind that they don't even have to think about it. It's just muscle memory to them. So make sure that you keep this concept in mind when you're in a game. Next, we have Peeker'S advantage. Peeker'S advantage is the idea that the player peeking will see the enemy first because of how visual data is transferred in the game. Peeker'S advantage was huge in games like Counter-Strike. However, Riot Games has done a good job in minimizing Peeker'S advantage in Valorant. Because of this, Peeker'S advantage is only applicable to specific scenarios instead of every scenario, but its effect is significant in said scenarios. Let's go over them. So the first situation that Peeker'S advantage is especially apparent is when both you and your enemy are fighting close to an obstruction. So for example, if you and your enemy are fighting on opposite sides of the truck on bind A site, you are both hugging the box, the person that swings will have an advantage over the one that doesn't. And when I say advantage, I'm talking about a 100+ millisecond advantage, which is huge in a game like Valorant where time to kill is so low. Now, does this mean you should swing the person every time you are in this scenario? No. There will be many times where you wide swing the enemy with Peeker'S advantage and you will still die because there will be an enemy behind the enemy you are currently fighting. At the end of the day, Valorant is a team game. Peeker'S advantage is best used when you know you are in a 1v1 scenario, so you don't have to worry about dying to someone else who maybe has the angle advantage. And when I say 1v1 scenario, I don't mean that there's only one person alive on each team. Each map will be controlled by a certain number of players, and it's up to you to decipher whether you have a 1v1 in this certain area of the map or not. The next situation in which Peeker'S advantage is applicable is in scenarios where you already have the angle advantage. When you already have the angle advantage, Peeker'S advantage can be added on top of it to further push that advantage and give you a bonus 100 milliseconds or so to work with. Peeker'S advantage can also be used to even out the playing field when you don't have the angle advantage. So when you have the angle disadvantage, the enemy will be able to see you before you see them if you just stand there and do nothing. However, if you peek the enemy and therefore gain Peeker'S advantage, even though you have angle disadvantage, you and your enemy will have visual indicators of each other at approximately the same time, evening out the playing field and taking away the advantage your opponent would have had. This emphasizes the importance of mitigating your opponent's advantages the best you can. It will be impossible to have the advantage in every fight that you take. However, it is always possible to negate some of your opponent's advantages so that you have a higher chance of winning in a fight. So in conclusion, angle advantage is when you are farther away from the angle than your opponent and therefore will be able to see them first. Therefore, you should always back up as far away as you comfortably can when you are about to peek an angle, to give yourself as much time and angle advantage as possible. Angle advantage is also key when slicing the pie, so you can fully utilize it when clearing dark parts of the map. Peeker'S advantage is the idea that the player peeking will be able to see the enemy first. Although this is not always the case, it is very apparent when it is applicable. The situations in which Peeker'S advantage are most utilized are A, you and your opponent are fighting close to an obstruction, B, when you already have the angle advantage, and C, when you have angle disadvantage. In the last scenario, you won't have an advantage in the fight, but Peeker'S advantage will negate the angle disadvantage, leading to an approximately even playing field. So in the next game that you play, make sure that you are consciously and constantly thinking of these different ways to gain an advantage over your opponents. These concepts can be applied to any situation in any game that you play, and increases your chances of winning a gunfight without you having to sacrifice pretty much anything. Top players have drilled the idea of angle advantage and Peeker'S advantage in their head to the point where it is muscle memory, so if you want to be a top player, you are going to have to drill it down as well. That's going to be all for today's video. If you found this video helpful, be sure to let me know by liking the video. If you have anything specific you want me to cover, let me know in the comments. I'll do my best to upload a new video every Sunday. The next video I have planned will talk about the basics of utility usage, so make sure you're subscribed to know when that video comes out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time.
Stay with me.